that although the materials used both in the Egyptian boats and in the Andean boats are not suitable for sailing on the open seas, the design that is incorporated in these boats could only have been evolved by a people with a long and solid tradition of oceanic navigation, people who needed boats that could cut through high waves and breakers. And the suggestion is, could this design be a very ancient legacy that was passed down and received both by the Egyptians and by the peoples of the Andes and expressed in the kind of boats that they made? In both areas, such boats are associated with the gods. The ancient Egyptians called their gods the Nitaru, and they said that they had come from a land far away to the south, a land called Ta-Nitaru, across vast expanses of ocean. So whoever they may have been, these gods, above all else, were navigators and seafarers. And navigators and seafarers need maps if they're going to sail around the earth. Now this map is a modern map, and I picked it up at the Library of Congress in the United States. It's an azimuthal equidistant projection centered near Cairo. And in common with all modern maps, it incorporates a number of advanced features. It incorporates highly accurate longitudes, and particularly relative longitudes. And it incorporates an advanced map projection. It isn't easy to represent a spherical object, the Earth, on a flat piece of paper, and to do so with a considerable degree of accuracy. And this is a problem that cartography has had to overcome. So we find good map projections which require advanced mathematics and good relative longitudes. Interestingly enough, there's a category of ancient map which also shows these modern features and which doesn't fit with the received view of the development of human history. One of the most famous of these maps is the PIRI REIS map. And I'm showing it here because I want to compare the projection of this map with the projection here centered on Cairo. Notice the west coast of Africa and the east coast of South America, and coming down here to the Antarctic Peninsula, tonguing up towards the south of South America. It's that precise projection that we find on this 1513 map. Again, there's the west coast of Africa, the east coast of South America. And coming down here, we find a representation of the northern Antarctic Peninsula. In 1513, when PIRI Reis drew the map, Antarctica had not been discovered. In fact, it wasn't discovered until 1818 by our civilization. So there immediately is one anomaly on this map. And another anomaly is the mathematics used in the map projection. And a third anomaly is that it incorporates highly accurate relative longitudes. To do longitudes accurately on maps requires a chronometer, a marine chronometer that will keep accurate time at sea. And again, this was something that our civilization couldn't do until the late 18th century. So this map, fragmentary though it is, appears to incorporate many features that are not supposed to have been known about in 1513. PIRI Reis explains why in these texts that he wrote on the map. He was a Turkish admiral, and he wrote these texts on the map. And what they say is that the map is not his own work. It's a work of synthesis. It's based on more than 20 earlier source maps, that he put all these maps together and derived his own map from these. And unfortunately, the source maps that PIRI Reis used have not survived. Is it possible that the advanced features of this map originate in those lost source maps, which PIRI Reis told us went back in some cases to before the time of Christ and had come from the long-lost library of Alexandria in Egypt?
all but forgotten. With today's satellites, cameras, and aircraft, producing an accurate map of a particular region is as easy as taking a photo. But in ancient times, without the advantage of modern technology, drawing up an accurate map of a given region was nearly impossible. The problem lied in the fact that the mapmaker had no way of knowing precisely where he was. This meant that determining the true distance between 2 points was difficult, and this resulted in a map of disproportional dimensions. Another hindrance to producing an accurate map is Earth's natural curvature. Because of paper's cost and portability, it's understandable that people would be inclined to draw maps on paper. Paper is, however, a flat two-dimensional surface, whereas the Earth is a three-dimensional curve. This means that even with the best of equipment, a paper map could never properly represent the surface of the planet. For example, looking at a modern map of the globe, one will notice that Greenland, the massive, frosty island between Canada and England, will appear disproportionately large and may even compare to the continental United States in size. Greenland is not the size of the continental United States, but on a flat map of the world, the regions near the North and the South Pole appear stretched. Although there are projections that could avoid such stretching, no two-dimensional surface could ever properly imitate a three-dimensional surface. With all the complications involved with ancient mapmaking, it is indeed curious that maps of modern accuracy existed greater than 500 years ago. The first of these wonders is the PIRI Reis world map, which was compiled in 1513 by the Turkish admiral Pîrî Reis. The map, according to Pîrî Reis, was compiled from a number of pre-existing maps which he described as quite ancient. For centuries, it appeared that the Pîrî Reis map was terribly incorrect in its depiction of the shape and size of Antarctica. In 1949, however, a joint British and Swedish expedition set out to survey Antarctica and ascertain what the southern continent looks like below the ice. Later, in the early 1960s, it was noticed by a man named Charles Hapgood that the Pîrî Reis map depicted the Atlantic chunk of Antarctica, not as it is in modern times, but instead showed its profile before it was enveloped in ice. The paradox is that, according to Orthodox history, Antarctica has been frozen over for 6,000 years, at the very least. Pîrî Reis readily admitted that his map was in fact a compilation of pre-existing maps. So how did those previous cartographers manage to accurately describe Antarctica's true shape beneath the surface of its ice? With Antarctica having been first discovered in 1820, allegedly, why did these early map makers describe the continent of Antarctica at all? Another world map, compiled by the cartographer Orontius Phineas in 1531, not only depicts Antarctica's true form beneath the ice, but it also illustrates where particular mountain ranges and rivers would be. Stranger still is the map's incredible accuracy regarding Antarctica's location relative to the southern tips of Africa and South America. How was an accurate map of Antarctica, including her location, hinterlands, and true form beneath the surface of the ice, drawn up 300 years before Antarctica was supposed to have been discovered? There are other maps that include Antarctica, aside from the Reis and Phineas maps, before the continent was first spotted. These maps too are admittedly compilations of far older maps. As stated earlier, making maps is no easy task. It requires surveying equipment and advanced mathematics. The bottom line is that the necessary knowledge and equipment was simply unavailable to these early cartographers. So where did the inspiration for these maps originate? The pyramids of Egypt are easily the most alluring monuments on the planet. Yet it isn't their grandeur alone which tempt their visitors. It is the mystery of their creation. These massive structures surpass even the most grand architectural creations of our day, yet, according to Orthodox historians, the Giza pyramids are around 5,000 years old. Despite their grandeur, they are lacking something that the grand never lack, an elaborate and fancy